positive that cause autism. It is so suggestive that anybody who takes this stuff during pregnancy, unless they have to, is irresponsible. There are 15 rodent studies. Every one of them shows if you give it to the mother, the babies, and particularly the male babies, have profound neurological and behavioral changes. There is a study from Johns Hopkins on cord blood where they divided women into 3 categories: those who had the least acetaminophen in their cord blood, and those who had the most. The ones with the most had 3.6 times the rate of autism in their children. The middle category had 2.2 times, so it's a dose-related response. And there are dozens of studies that show the countries that use the most have the highest level of autism. Cuba has the lowest level in the world of acetaminophen use, and it has the lowest autism rate in the world. So this is not dispositive. It is not proof. We're doing the studies to make the proof. But in the meantime, the precautionary principle should apply. And any mother who is taking this stuff during pregnancy just to get back at Donald Trump is doing something that is pathological. And we're seeing that across the board. I got a lot of other stuff to talk about, but I know we got a short time here. But thank you, Mr. President. You're making our country healthier again.
Thank you, Bobby. Could you just say, for the record, state what the autism was, let's say, 20 years ago and what it is today?
In 1970, the largest epidemiological study in history was performed. 900,000 kids were looked at. They were looking for autism in Wisconsin children. They looked at every child in Wisconsin who was 8 years old. They found an autism rate of 0.7 per 10,000. So almost close to 1 in 20,000, less than 1 in 10,000. Today, the autism rates are nationally 1 in 31, but it's actually much worse than that because California, which has the best collection system, reports an autism rate of 1 in every 19 children, 1 in every 12.5 boys. This is a national security issue. There is nothing more important, and I'm grateful to you, Mr. President, because you know the flack that you take for talking about this issue. You've shown courage and you've shown leadership, and I can't thank you enough for letting me do this work.
Thank you. So think of that, 1 in 20,000, and now it's 1 in 12 for boys, 1 in 18, 19 for girls. So obviously there's something that's artificially, I think, induced, something, whether it's the vaccines in terms of these massive vaccines that are twice the size of a jar like that, of a glass of water like that, I mean, into a baby's body. And I've suggested get them in doses, get them in, maybe 20%, 30%, but smaller, not such a big. I think, that. Then we had certain recommendations, the MMR, take them separately. The measles is already separate now, and it works out much better, but there doesn't seem to be any impact if you take it separately. If you take it as a combination, it's not so great. And some other things, but I would say don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, and when the baby is born, don't give it Tylenol. If you can avoid it at all, just don't give it Tylenol.
I'll say this.
Really,
also,
what do you have to lose? You really don't have much to lose. Yeah, go ahead.
There's many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that show children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. And it's highly likely because they're given Tylenol. So, none of this is dispositive, but all of it is stuff that we should be paying attention to.
Yeah.
But, there's a tremendous amount of proof or evidence, I would say, as a non-doctor, but I've studied this a long time ago. I met Bobby in my office 20 years ago. We were talking about the same thing 20 years ago. And I was a real estate developer. It bothered me that it seemed to be getting worse, but it's so bad now when you hear these numbers. It's not even really sustainable. I don't know how people do it, but there is some very strong evidence on Tylenol. In fact, at one point, I guess the company gave a warning.
They still don't recommend it during pregnancy. That's the weird thing.
They're not recommending it, and that's the company itself. So just don't take it. Don't take it. If you're a woman, don't take it, and don't give it to the baby when the baby's born, and I think that's going to have an impact. but I'd also get the shots in smaller doses. There are a few things, we gave a few things that just seemed to be, and I think you'd get that number way back up. Think of it, you have 1 in 20,000, and now it's not even believable when you think that 20,000 drops to 12 children. So that's induced by something that's given or taken, and it should be able to be stopped. And you're talking about the Pennsylvania Dutch, you were talking about the Amish, where they don't take any of this stuff, and they have virtually none, right? They have no autism, no autism. So we're doing something very bad. Somebody's been given some bad things. Other countries, by the way, we have, I think, we have 82 vaccines that we give simultaneously. And I'm a vaccine believer, by the way. I believe in the polio vaccine. I believe in a lot of vaccines. But when you give 82 vaccines in a shot to a little baby that hasn't even formed yet, it's a lot of vaccines. And in Japan, they give a much smaller number. In Germany, they give a much smaller, like 28 vaccines. It's a lot too, but 28's a lot different than 82. So, but I would say on the Tylenol, don't take it, and that will be. I think it's going to be a big factor. I think it'll be a very good result, and I hope we're going to be able to see that result in the not too distant future. Because certainly, people have heard us loud and clear. That's why I bring it up again. That's why I asked you to talk about it, because this is a horrible thing, and if you don't take it, I mean, you have to tough it through sometimes. There are other things you can do, but you have to tough it out. It's easy for me to say, but I think you're going to see numbers that will be it'll be so significantly improved, and maybe fully improved. I mean, there's something there, there's something going on, and we have to address it. And so I'm addressing it the best I can as a non-doctor, but I'm a man of common sense. Okay, any other questions?
I'd like to comment on the
Yeah,
workforce.
please.
Mr. President, a lot of people are calling to give you the Nobel Peace Prize after this peace deal that you managed to achieve in the Middle East. First of all, your opinion on that, and I was wondering about your trip to the Middle East, if you can tell us if you're considering to speak at the Knesset, at the Israeli parliament.
Well, they asked me to speak at the Knesset, and I've agreed to. If they would like me to, I will do it. It's the first time a president has ever done that, so that makes it very interesting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I will do it if they want me to. They have asked me to do that. Thank you.
Families of hostages are out in the streets in Israel dancing and crying tears
They're
of
all
joy.
dancing in the streets right now. They're dancing in the streets. They're so happy. Everybody's happy. They're dancing in the streets of Arab countries, Muslim countries. I've never seen anything like it. Everybody is happy. It's been really amazing. Thank you.
President Trump, on the international peacekeeping force that's going to deploy to Gaza soon, do you expect that Pakistan, Turkey, other countries to contribute forces? Has that become firmed up? And also on the shutdown, it seems like in the House there's a majority support for a temporary extension of the Obamacare subsidies, perhaps minus the funds for illegal immigrants. Is that how you see the deal to end the shutdown happening?
Well, I see the deal just getting extended as we continue to talk, but we're willing to pay because we're paying. You know, it's very simple. We're paying. And the Democrats are the ones that cause this problem. And it's a big problem for them. And they have a lot of break in their ranks. But so I see that, you know, I think that'll get worked out. But we want to get back before we do this. We don't want to have a gun held to our head. We don't like that. And the public doesn't like it either. So we want to get back. And I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out very well. It's something that shouldn't have happened. This was supposed to take place before the election. You know, this was supposed to take place on September 28th before the election. We shouldn't even be talking about this right now. This is actually something that shouldn't have even happened. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, looking ahead, what guarantees Hamas disarms and that Israel doesn't resume bombing once the hostages
Well,
are
the first
released?
thing we're doing is getting our hostages back, okay? And that's what people wanted more than anything else. They wanted these hostages back that have lived in hell like nobody has ever even dreamt possible. And after that, we'll see. But they've agreed to things, and I think it's going to move along pretty well.
But what is phase two? When does it
I'm not
begin?
going to talk about that because you sort of know what phase two is, but we will There will be disarming. There will be pullbacks. There will be a lot of things that are happening. You know, I gave you a whole list of 22 different things that will take place, and I think it'll take place. And I think you're going to end up with peace in the Middle East. But we have to get our hostages back.